Hey, America 2.0, how you guys doing? Alright, today I want to talk to you about a Finnish group. It's a vigilante group. It's also been called a militia in certain articles. They're called Soldiers of Odin, Odin. And one look at these guys, and honestly, they kind of look like cops. They do. I'm looking at this lower picture here in the black and white with the Jireka. I can't even read what that other one says. And this looks like kind of like they would dress if they were in their cop uniforms out in public, except for now they're writing Soldiers of Odin rather than, say, Finnish police or something like that. But that's none of my business. These guys are a vigilante group that are supposedly starting to go against these immigrants. And who better to do it than the police who can't take action during the day? You know, right? So, anyways, folks, there's a long history as to all these groups basically coming together because the police can't do anything. So, these groups are being formed. Finnish Patrol's Soldiers of Odin has begun patrolling cities in Finland amid influx of migrants. Wearing black jackets adorned by a symbol of Viking Finnish white supremacists, the Soldiers of Odin have surfaced as self-proclaimed patriots patrolling the streets for immigrants, marching with banners and masks and claiming to be protecting the native Finns from immigrants. Fears are now growing about their expanding presence and motivations. On the northern fringe of Europe, Finland has little history of welcoming large numbers of refugees, unlike Sweden. But as with other European countries, it's now struggling with a huge increase of asylum seekers, and the authorities are weary of anti-immigrant vigilantism. A group of young men founded Soldiers of Odin, named after a Viking god, late last year in the northern town of Kimi, a border community which has become an entry point for the migrants. Okay, now let's see here. I'm trying to find all of it on the Soldiers of Odin first. I have like 5 articles. I'm trying to get this. RT has one. Here we go. Soldiers of Odin. Soldiers of Odin, Finnish anti-migrant group with extremist features, takes to patrolling the streets. Far-right groups are assuming police functions by patrolling the streets in Finnish towns housing asylum seekers. The Soldiers of Odin, in quotes, who always dressed in black jackets, claim they're protecting the native Finns from immigrants. Finland authorities have become increasingly concerned with the group's activities as its numbers have grown to hundreds. While it is claimed the group is not supported by any majority of Finns, the anti-migrant, anti-Muslim group reflects a discontent of many Europeans with the discontent of unprecedented refugee crisis. The group supposedly has 500 members across the country, according to Finnish paper Karjalainen Haili. But basically, as they go on and on and on, they kind of say, you know, if they don't have any majority backing, these guys kind of popped up almost out of nowhere. And you kind of wonder about that. Regardless of what they're doing, protecting against all the migrants doing all the stupid shit they did on New Year's, that was just dumb. The Soldier of Odin group was named after the chief Norse god of war and death. That's not necessarily true. Odin has always been shown as the chief god of war and death, and that's not really what his title was. There are many gods of war in the Norse mythology and death. He was more or less the guy that kind of brought it together, and Odin actually is based off a Russian king who settled a city-state in Russia probably about the time Christ came into the world, if not before then. You got to look into that. It's actually kind of a neat story. The actual kingdom of Odin, I forget what his whole name was and everything, but basically the soldiers of Odin and its members argue that they are the eyes and ears of the streets since the police are not doing enough to provide security on the locals. The group accuses the Islamist intruders, I'd say invaders, for increasing crime and distributes place cards reading migrants not welcome. Although pinpointing a rise in crime rates takes time, Finnish police have reported cases where men with a foreign background harassed women during New York celebration in country capital of Helsinki, as well as other public events during the fall season. Finland nearly doubled from 75 to 147. Now they're calling it sexual harassment cases, folks, where in the regular media they were calling it sexual assaults. And there's a huge freaking difference. If you grab her ass or touch her boobs, it's a harassment still. It is not an actual assault. Assault is like, mixture of fluids and everything else. That is, well, depending on the situation. I mean, her, him, it, etc. Let's see here. So, harassment can be generally anything from verbal to, knocking somebody the hell out. So, you guys get the idea. Finnish government and police have expressed concern over soldiers of Odin, which has far right-leaning and neo-Nazi supporters. The authorities fear that citizens could be inspired to take on police roles. Well, that's good. I've always said that the first thing that should happen in any general education system is every single citizen should be trained as a police officer. That is your basic duty, to protect your family, protect your community, protect your tribe, and that basically protects your state and your federal situation. When you can no longer do that under a militia banner or something else, that is when the government comes, rounds you up, uses the trains, and murders you and everybody, whether it be in your sleep or not in your sleep. That's when the government basically says, we have no use for you, is when they take away your authority to protect your family, protect their families, protect the community, and protect everybody else within it. So, there's a bunch here, folks. Of course, Sweden's talking about xenophobes and racists, pretty much always. Denmark's, has a plan to seize refugee cash, jewelry in return for asylum. Basically what the Nazis did, if you remember that. Then they rounded them all up, put them in camps after they seized all their goods. And that's when they started murdering them all in the streets, or in the camps and whatever else. Even though the real numbers of bodies and the numbers reported are supposedly highly different. And I've heard a Jewish scholar on this number. Let's see here. Historical records of Jewish persons and persons in the Holocaust in the 1920s and 30s being of Jewish origin, and in that area in World War II were supposed to be something like 25 million. There were nowhere near 25 million Jews in Europe at the time. There was like 4 or 5 million. So the rest were thought to be political persons of interest among many, many, many other groups. So let me just show you real quick. Okay, here's this. There's only 2 of these that are really coming out well, so I can only really show you 1 or 2 good ones. And unfortunately, for some reason, the Chrome is not working so well last couple of days. I think there is something going on with the internet, and it isn't just my connection. But as you can see, there are 2 good stories. I'll show you the others. This one goes into Daily Insider. This one goes into German gangs are beating up on immigrants after asylum refugees, Syrian refugees sexually assault German women. That was over the police holiday or New Year's holiday. When I say police holiday, horrible. And this one is police crack down hard on anti-immigrant vigilante groups emerging across Europe. And if this one doesn't load, I'm not going to show it. That's why I'm not going to show any of these. You guys get the idea. They'll be in the sources. You'll be able to use them on yours, and hopefully most of them will work fine. So thank you guys. I told you I'd bring this to you, and I wanted to show you when one finally does show up more realistic. This group down here holding the sign. Honestly, if I were to remove the German or Finnish from this and put English, this looks like a group of, say, New York cops that are sick and tired of what's going on, holding up a sign, and that's what Soldiers of Odin probably are, a police union of some kind that basically goes out and does what the police can't during the day. I mean, that's how you get bodies, folks. Bodies as in numbers of people, not as in dead people. So, thank you.